Imagine this, a game-changing bill straight from Washington that's about to flood bank accounts across America with up to $3,200 in fresh cash. And it can hit just in time for the holiday season. Could this be the financial lifeline you've been waiting for? If that grabbed your attention, smash that subscribe button right now to stay ahead on all the latest money moves. And drop a comment below letting me know if you're on Social Security and hoping for this boost. Your thoughts could spark a huge discussion. All right, let's jump right into the details without any fluff or repeats, because this development is shaking things up big time, and you need the straight facts to prepare. Fresh off the presses from Capitol Hill, a sweeping new legislation, dubbed the Revival Act, has sailed through Congress with surprising speed, backed by influential figures from across the aisle, including strong support tied to former President Trump's vision for economic recovery. And it's poised to deliver substantial relief to those who've been squeezed by ongoing economic pressures. This isn't some vague promise or online gossip. It's rooted in intense negotiations that wrapped up faster than anticipated, moving from committee talks to full passage in record time, all aimed at supporting everyday folks on fixed incomes, like seniors, disabled individuals, and veterans who are still grappling with sky-high living expenses, despite some easing in official inflation stats. The core of this Revival Act is to restore economic stability by injecting direct aid where it's needed most, featuring a one-off distribution of as much as $3,200 per eligible recipient, drawing inspiration from past emergency stimulus efforts that helped millions weather tough times. Picture logging into your banking app soon and spotting that extra chunk of change deposited seamlessly. No endless paperwork, no hoops to jump through, just automatic transfers handled by the Social Security Administration and the Treasury Department for those already in the system. But hold on. Amid all the buzz, there's plenty of noise out there, so I'm here to cut through it all, explaining precisely what this means for your wallet, who stands to benefit, and the timeline you should watch closely, because getting this right could make a real difference in how you handle the end of the year. Digging deeper, this Revival Act fits into a broader initiative known as the National Economic Renewal Strategy, which picked up steam as advisors close to Trump outlined plans to tackle persistent inflation and bolster confidence among working families, retirees, and those on assistance programs, leading to a bipartisan push that caught many off guard with its swift approval and broad backing. Unlike token gestures, this is a robust package allocating hundreds of billions toward immediate payouts, plus extra resources to streamline operations at key agencies like the SSA and VA, addressing long-standing delays and enhancing overall support structures. Insiders at the Treasury reveal that the $3,200 amount was carefully calibrated based on prior relief models, responding to the reality that while headline inflation has dipped a bit, real-world costs for essentials like food, utilities, housing, and healthcare keep climbing, leaving many households stretched thin and in need of urgent help. Lawmakers emphasize the urgency, especially with winter approaching and holiday expenses looming, arguing that delaying aid any longer would only worsen hardships for vulnerable groups, framing it as a step toward empowering the overlooked segments of society that form the backbone of the nation. Notably, this wasn't a purely partisan affair. A coalition of moderates from both sides came together, recognizing that economic relief transcends politics, which is why it advanced so rapidly and now awaits just a brief administrative phase before funds start flowing. Beyond the headline payment, the Act includes provisions to fortify federal benefit systems, potentially reducing wait times for claims and improving service delivery, signaling a commitment to not just short-term fixes, but sustainable improvements for those relying on government support. Treasury officials in recent statements have outlined that distributions will prioritize existing beneficiaries, leveraging their verified data for quick, secure electronic transfers, meaning if you're already getting checks from SSI, SSDI, or similar programs, you're set up for seamless receipt. However, there's a small window for final tweaks in payment processing, so experts anticipate the initial waves could commence in the coming weeks, aligning with the festive period to provide that much-needed cushion against seasonal strains. Economists suggest this infusion could ripple positively through the broader economy, boosting spending and sentiment as we head into the new year, positioning it as a strategic move with implications far beyond individual pockets. To clarify eligibility without any confusion, the rollout targets specific groups in a logical sequence. starting with SSI and SSDI enrollees who are pre-verified in federal databases, followed by VA benefit holders, then extending to qualifying low-income elders and taxpayers below certain earnings thresholds, ensuring your aid reaches those hit hardest first. For instance, if your monthly benefits arrive on a set date, expect this bonus to follow a similar pattern, perhaps tied to your birth date or payment cycle, to avoid bottlenecks. Importantly, if you've updated your details recently, like a new address or bank account, double-check to prevent any hiccups, as outdated info is the top cause of delays. And rest assured, this won't trigger taxes or jeopardize other aids like Medicaid, as it's designated purely as non-taxable relief. In practical terms, this could mean covering overdue bills, stocking up on necessities, or even treating yourself during the holidays without the usual worry, offering a tangible break for families who've had to make tough choices amid rising prices. But a word of caution. With big news like this, fraudsters are quick to pounce, sending phony messages or calls demanding fees or info for expedited access. Ignore them entirely, as legitimate agencies never operate that way. Instead, rely solely on official channels for verification. Moving forward, to position yourself optimally, take these proactive steps. Head over to the SSA website to review and refresh your profile details, from direct deposit setups to contact info, ensuring everything's current to avoid returned funds. Next, stick to credible sources for updates, government sites and established news, steering clear of unverified social posts or links that promise insider perks. Keep an eye on your calendar for potential deposit dates, possibly kicking off late this month or early next, phased to match existing schedules for efficiency. And don't forget to spread the word to loved ones who might benefit, as awareness can prevent anyone from missing out due to oversight. The beauty here is that for most qualified folks, it's hands-off. No applications needed if you're already enrolled, just pure automatic support stacked on top of your standard payments without interference. Staying vigilant is key, especially as announcements evolve, so avoid panic and focus on facts from trusted outlets like the SSA hotline if doubts arise. Ultimately, this represents a pivotal shift, acknowledging the struggles of countless citizens who've borne the brunt of economic turbulence, providing not just dollars but a sense of security and optimism for what's ahead. As developments unfold, I'll keep you posted with fresh insights, so if you haven't already, subscribe and enable notifications to catch every twist. Your engagement in the comments helps build a community around these vital topics. Now, expanding on the broader context, let's consider how this revival act emerged amid a landscape of economic uncertainty that has persisted despite recovery efforts, with data showing that while unemployment has stabilized, wage growth hasn't kept pace with cost increases in key areas like energy and transportation, prompting policymakers to act decisively. Trump's influence in shaping this narrative can't be understated, as his emphasis on revitalizing domestic strength resonated during the drafting phase, drawing parallels to earlier initiatives that successfully stimulated growth during crises. For beneficiaries, this means potential enhancements beyond the immediate payout, such as streamlined application processes for future claims or increased funding for disability reviews, which could reduce backlogs that have frustrated applicants for years. Take, for example, a typical SSDI recipient. They might see this $3,200 as a buffer against unexpected medical costs or home repairs, allowing them to maintain independence without dipping into savings or relying on family. Similarly, for SSI users, often facing stricter asset limits, this non-taxable windfall could enable small investments in quality of life, like better nutrition or mobility aids, without risking program eligibility. Veterans, too, stand to gain, with the Act's VA allocations promising faster processing of pension adjustments, addressing a common complaint in that community. On the economic front, analysts project that dispersing these funds could add momentum to consumer sectors, from retail to services, helping small businesses thrive as spending ticks up. Think of it as a grassroots stimulus that circulates money locally rather than top-down. Critics might argue it's a temporary band-aid, but supporters counter that in times of strain, such measures prevent deeper downturns, citing historical precedents where similar interventions averted recessions. To further illustrate, recall the 2020-2021 relief rounds. They not only sustained households, but also fueled a rebound in GDP, and this Revival Act aims to replicate that success on a targeted scale. For those on the fence about qualification, note that thresholds are inclusive. Single filers under $75,000 adjusted gross income or joint under $150,000 may qualify if not dependents, broadening the net beyond just benefit recipients. If you're dual eligible, say for both SSI and VA, systems are designed to consolidate without duplication, ensuring efficiency. Timing-wise, while the administrative hurdle is short, factors like holiday banking closures could influence exact dates, so monitoring your account statements regularly is wise.
In terms of safeguards, the Act incorporates anti-fraud tech, like enhanced verification protocols to protect against identity theft, which has risen with digital payments. For paper check users, expect mailed versions slightly later, but the push is toward direct deposit for speed and security. If you're not set up, now's the time to switch via your online portal. Looking ahead to 2026, this could set the stage for further reforms, perhaps tying into larger tax code changes or cost of living adjustments that build on this foundation. Personal stories abound. Imagine a retiree in a rural area using this to fix a leaking roof before winter hits, or a disabled worker affording therapy sessions that improve Dale's life. These are the real impacts beyond numbers. To maximize benefits, consider budgeting tools or financial counseling offered through SSA resources, turning this payout into lasting stability. Amid global uncertainties, from supply chain issues to geopolitical tensions, domestic measures like this reinforce resilience, reminding us that policy can directly uplift lives. As we wrap up this deep dive, remember the essence. This Revival Act isn't mere politics. It's a response to genuine needs, fostering hope and action. Stay tuned for more, and if this helped, like and share to reach others. Together, we navigate these changes stronger. Now, to delve even further into the implications, let's explore how this ties into ongoing debates about Social Security solvency, where projections show the trust fund facing shortfalls by the 2030s unless bolstered, and this Act's operational funding could serve as a pilot for more permanent enhancements like raising payroll tax caps or adjusting retirement ages, though those remain speculative for now. Advocates point out that with an aging population, initiatives like this are crucial to prevent poverty spikes among elders, supported by stats showing over 10 million seniors living below 150% of the poverty line.
For disability programs, the focus on backlog reduction means faster approvals, potentially adding thousands to the rolls who qualify but have waited excessively. Economically, the multiplier effect of these payments is notable. Each dollar spent by low-income households circulates multiple times, stimulating local economies more than tax cuts for the wealthy. Historical data from the Great Recession era backs this, with stimulus checks contributing to quicker recoveries in consumer-driven sectors. On the political side, this bipartisan success could pave the way for more collaborative efforts, breaking gridlock on issues like infrastructure or healthcare, as public approval for relief measures often pressures lawmakers. For individuals, practical tips include using free credit monitoring to guard against scams, or consulting nonprofit financial advisors for personalized plans. Resources abound on official sites. If you're a caregiver for someone eligible, assist them in updating info to ensure smooth delivery. In urban versus rural contexts, access differs. City dwellers might see quicker electronic transfers, while remote areas benefit from postal reliability, but overall equity is a goal. As inflation lingers in certain goods, this aid targets those disparities, perhaps encouraging policy shifts toward price controls or subsidies in future budgets. Personal finance experts recommend allocating the funds wisely. Pay down high-interest debt first, then build an emergency fund, and finally invest in needs like education or health. For families, it could mean holiday gifts without credit card regret, or starting a small savings for kids' futures. The Act also subtly addresses wealth gaps, as fixed income groups have seen erosion in purchasing power, and this restores some balance. Looking globally, similar relief in other nations during pandemics showed positive outcomes, validating this approach. To conclude without ending abruptly, keep engaging with these topics. Your voice and comments shapes content, and subscribing ensures you're informed. This Revival Act marks a turning point, blending immediate help with longer-term promise, empowering Americans to thrive amid challenges.